November 9th, 1997 is a day that will go down in the annals of wrestling history as far as containing one of the most infamous moments of all time. Of course, I'm referring to Goldust turning his back on Team USA, USA, USA. No, actually, it involved Stone Cold Steve Austin beating Team Canada up, beating Jim Neidhart up, and then stunnering Owen Hart to regain the Intercontinental Championship. No. The most infamous moment was thinking that the Truth Commission and DOA should have 10 goddamn minutes in an elimination match on pay-per-view. No, I'm kidding, of course. Obviously, it is when Bret the Hitman Hart, my favorite wrestler of all time, got screwed. Bret screwed Bret. Bret screwed Bret. Bret screwed Bret. Stupid Montreal screwjob. I'm John Renton with the Retro Review WWE Survivor Series 1997. Okay, I've done videos about the Montreal screwjob. I covered the Dark Side of the Ring. I covered Bret's, run in WCW. I have talked about the Montreal screwjob at length, at massive, throbbing, veiny length. Yeah, I'm going to talk about some of it here. I decided to revisit this just to cover more older Survivor Series. And I realized I actually hadn't covered the entire event at length. Quick little bit of background, though. I actually started watching this yesterday. I'm recording this Wednesday, November 20th. I was watching this November 19th. That is for those of you that don't understand how a calendar works. And I got about halfway through it. And then we got hit with something called a bomb cyclone. Basically, it was a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and just a lot of atmospheric pressure dropping and going all around. And yeah, we didn't have power after 7 p.m. Obviously, as you can tell by the time I'm recording this, around 4:30 p.m. Wednesday, it came back. And I decided, you know what? I'm just going to talk about this, and for those of you that did reach out to me on social media, I really do appreciate it. You're watching this in the future. I'm good. I'm not dead yet, much to the chagrin of some people watching this. That being said, let's talk about some facts and figures. One, this was in the Molson Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. 21,000 seating capacity, and they pretty much had a sellout. 20,593, 250,000 pay-per-view buys. Now that actually sounds pretty goddamn good, and actually compared to the couple other previous Survivor Series, it was pretty goddamn good. 1997, though, was a bit of a tough year for the WWF. Yes, they were getting beaten in the ratings, they were building, and they had a solid foundation in pay-per-view. But you got to factor this, 250,000, that was more than Mania 13 has. So let's talk about the previous two Survivor Series events. Let's talk about Survivor Series 1995 in Landover, Maryland. Landover, Bendover, whatever. Bender, I barely know her. So that had about 14,500 fans and 128,000 pay-per-view buys. Ouch. No wonder Vince McMahon lost a lot of money out of his ass in 95-96. That being said, Survivor Series 1996 in Madison Square Garden, where Sid beat Shawn Michaels, and that lady looked so upset in the front row, and Vlad was thrilled. Bless Vladimir. What a nice guy. 18,647 fans, 199,000 pay-per-view buys. Okay, better. And then we go to Survivor Series 1998, the Deadly Game. Check out my retro review of that if you want to hear me do a really bad rendition. Anyway, at the Kiel Center, where they held Bad Blood, that had 21,179 fans and had 478,000 pay-per-view buys. Pretty good. 1999 that I just recently retro review, much to my chagrin because it was pretty goddamn awful, at the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan. 18,735 fans and 448,000 pay-per-view buys. So let's talk about the 97 Rumble. I know somebody that was there. They had a lot of fun. Apparently, I guess, they talked about the cheap ticket prices. They wanted to run the Alamo Dome. That's a good idea. No, it's not. It's not a good idea at all. They got 60,477 fans in there, but they had cheap ticket prices like $5 and $10 tickets, apparently. They did have 244,000 pay-per-view buys, so okay, they were up for Survivor Series 96, but still, ouch. So, In Your House Final Four at the UTC Arena in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I don't know why I have to say it like that. They had about 6,400 fans, and they had 120,000 pay-per-view buys. The In Your House model at this point was kind of getting out of fucking control. Mania 13 at the Rosemont Horizon, 18,197 fans, Arguably one of the worst WrestleManias of all time, containing one of the most iconic matches in WrestleMania history, Bret versus Austin. They had a couple other good matches there, but they only had 237,000 pay-per-view buys. Well, fuck, that just isn't very good. That's not cricket. Something to smile about. So, In Your House, Revenge of the Taker. That was in Rochester. That had 11,477 fans. 120,000 pay-per-view buys. Again, the In Your House model. Probably not the best label. In Your House, A Cold Day in Hell. Richmond, Virginia, 14,381 fans and 143,000 pay-per-view buys. I think that had Austin versus Taker, if I remember right, in the main event. King of the Ring 1997 in Providence, Rhode Island, 13,312 fans, 177,000 pay-per-view buys. Sorry, looking at my notes and realizing I don't column things very well because I was never good at columns. If you ever played the game Columns, you know what I'm talking about. Canadian Stampede, In Your House, Canadian Stampede, arguably one of the best B pay-per-views of all time in WWF history. They were in Calgary, obviously. 12,151 fans, and they had 165,000 pay-per-view buys. The camera was literally shaking. SummerSlam 1997, East Rutherford, New Jersey. They had about 20,000 people there, 235,000 pay-per-view buys. So they were ticking up. In Your House, Ground Zero. Louisville, Kentucky, at the Louisville Gardens, I believe 5,000 fans, 126,000 pay-per-view buys. Not great. One night only in Birmingham, the UK. 11,000 fans don't know about the pay-per-view buys. It was in the UK. And Bad Blood. Baby, we've got Bad Blood. Unfortunately, this was the day, the event rather, where the morning of Brian Pillman passed away. God, Jim Cornette recounting that on the Brian Pillman two-parter. My God. The Kiel Center, that's where they were, because I referred to that earlier. 21,151 fans, 168,000 pay-per-view buys to see the first ever Hell in a Cell match. And then DX In Your House. The month after this, it was in Springfield, and they had 6,400 fans and 120,000 pay-per-view buys. But then we go to the 98 Rumble. They were in San Jose, 18,542 fans, and 351,000 pay-per-view buys. So let's talk about this fairly standard pay-per-view where nothing big happened. Nothing at all. Why would you think that? So the package on Bret and Shawn. Bret was right. I'm just going to say, look, Shawn has taken full responsibility because he ran away from one addiction and found another bullshit addiction. But whatever, it's fine. And now he can keep his eye on the future talent and his eye on the present talent. Which eye is he using? Let me know. Sponsored by Milton Bradley Karate Fighters. I remember those. Oh, Canadian crowds are a special breed. So JR and King called the action, while Carlos Cabrera and Tito Santana called the Spanish action. And then Ray Rougeau, who could still beat the shit out of anybody at this point in 2024, Jacques Rougeau Sr., and Jean Beauregard, Mrs. Beauregard. They called the French action. I did not know Jacques Rougeau Sr. was still alive in 97. New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn and Road Dogg in cowboy stuff because Billy Gunn was still rockabilly. You still had Road Dogg doing the Jesse James thing. And also you had the Godwins. Henry O. Godwin and Phineas I. Godwin. Hog and Pig. Vince was creative. They took on the new Blackjacks. Blackjack Bradshaw and Barry Windham, who, my word, Barry Windham was not mobile at this point. And the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher. Yes, Mosh, the future Beaver Cleavage. Fuck Vince Russo forever. So, Jesse said, and I'm just quoting this, by the way, Road Dogg. He said, I see the steers and queers are already in the ring. My God. This match really wasn't much of note, didn't have much of note beyond Barry being massive. This was okay for what it was. The French just chanted stuff. I don't know what the hell they did. The New Age Outlaws won after 15 minutes. Like, I didn't hate the match, but as far as elimination matches, this felt like such a downturn. And the French ring announcer, I mean, he certainly was passionate. I don't know French. I don't know what the fuck he was saying. Anyway, the Truth Commission. I wish I didn't know what this match was saying. We have the Jackal, yes, the future Don Callis, Don Scarlet Fever Callis, as it were. The Interrogator, Kurgan. You have Sniper and Recon. Recon, who is Bull Buchanan. Who the fuck was Sniper? Anyway, so nevertheless, they took on DOA. Dead on Arrival is what they should have been called. Skull and 8-Ball, you know, the Harris brothers, the Nazi Harris brothers. They have tattoos like that on their legs, so fuck them. You have Chains, not 2 Chains, and you have Crush. Faction Snorefair. This was god-awful. They put Don Callis in the ring, who was a competent enough worker. Look, Don Callis can cut a really good promo and do some stuff, but my word. Kurgan made the right choice to eventually go into acting after wrestling didn't work out because he's a great intimidator. And they did the oddities after this, which pretty much just killed him. Don Callis gets eliminated and then joins commentary. And Kurgan got the win for his team. I mean, this is pretty goddamn sloppy and stupid. And the fans weigh in on the main event. Some say Shawn will win, some say Brett will win. And the ones that said Shawn would win, fuck y'all. You don't deserve to have the Montreal Canadiens win anything. So, Kevin Kelly plugs WWF on AOL. Is he going to talk about, talk about that right-wing crackpot movie that had Jim Caviezel in it? Nevertheless, Kevin Kelly, great commentator, apparently had CTE from an early age. So Austin basically says he won't sink and he will go on. Speaking of going on, let's go on to the next match. Team Canada. Bulldog, Neidhart, Furnace, and LaFon. So you have one Canadian in this whole thing. I wonder if you can guess from the names who the actual Canadian was. Team USA, Vader, Goldust, Mark Merrow, and Steve Blackman. Blackman's pay-per-view debut. Who thought that this was a good idea to put Blackman in something like this? And I like Blackman. It's a way to introduce him, but it's just not a good way. Team USA had the Patriots theme, aka the future Kurt Angle's theme. And Team Canada was way over, obviously. Why wouldn't they be? I mean, Bulldog and Neidhart would be over because of their ties to Stampede Wrestling and the rich history of professional wrestling there. Team USA was all dysfunctional. Blackman's pay-per-view debut. Great crowd reactions during this. Bulldog, when he slammed Vader, he picked up Vader in a vertical suplex. When Bulldog was motivated, my word, he was like a kid out there. A kid that could lift you and throw you very far because he was strong. God, I wish British Bulldog was still here. And the U.S. sucks chance. Blackman got counted out. That's a way to protect him, I guess. Vader then takes out Neidhart and LaFon. Bad collision where Merrow basically tried to do the moonsault. And I think he hit Furnace's shoulder, but I think Furnace hurt his knee. Because and the problem is Furnace and LaFon have been working the tours of all Japan with that hard style. I'm quite frankly amazed they could walk by this point. Not to say, by the way, that the matches sucked. They were hard-hitting. But Goldust does nothing. Vader eventually does tag him in, but then Goldust, after getting slapped and thrown in the ring, Goldust just gets counted out. And then we got Furnace got laid out, but then Bulldog basically used the ring bell to clock Vader, and then eventually got the victory there. So there we are. Bulldog got a big pop. I don't think Furnace and LaFon were around much after this. And then a karate fighter blimp. Well, they call a woman that won a contest to get dinner with some friends with a WWF superstar. I don't know who that superstar was. If you know, let me know in the comments. So, the package on Kane and Taker, mainly Kane, after he interfered in the Hell in a Cell match, costing Taker the match. Taker vowed never to fight his brother. And Kane's been laying some people out with the weird red lighting. Mankind basically says, yeah, it might be like running into a brick wall, but I'm going to keep running into that brick wall, and I'm going to get my hands on Paul Bearer and stick my fingers down his throat. So, we then get the red light for Kane's matches was not great. I mean, it was kind of cool for the entrance, and if you're going to do a promo, but for a match, no. Mankind and Kane actually had a pretty underappreciated match, in all honesty. As distracting as the red lighting was, it was hard-hitting. Mankind really did, some great stuff, bumping like crazy. He went through the announcer's table back when that bump actually meant something, at least in the WWF. He did come back, he had DDT on the floor, and he had gotten his fingers down Paul Bearer's throat right before doing the announcer's table bump. But then Kane was more motivated even after the DDT on the floor. He slams him off the top, just throws him off the top to the goddamn floor. No wonder Foley had to retire from full-time competition at 34 years old. ECW chance. Foley gets back in the ring. I keep calling him Foley because that's who he is. 1, 2, 3. There you go. It's after a tombstone. Thanks for coming. Vince is then put on the spot by Michael Cole, and he says, who's going to win? I don't know. The fuck you don't, you lying sack of shit, you creep. Shamrock then basically starts the promo with his team. That was a choice. He says, tell him, Hawk. Well, thankfully Ahmed Johnson didn't talk. Great googly moogly. If you get it, you get it. So, the Nation of Domination are already in the ring. Farouk. Rocky Maivia, who was getting Rocky Sucks chants. D'Lo Brown, so underappreciated as a worker. And Kamal Mustafa, the future Godfather. So, it's LOD, Hawk and Animal. I wish they were still here. Shamrock and Ahmed Johnson, who by this point, Ahmed had his issues in like late 95, whatever it was. And, you know, he had that feud with Jeff Jarrett. He had the match at WrestleMania 12. He was getting pushed, won the Intercontinental title from Goldust. It seemed like things were on the ascent, and then he had the kidney issue. And then by the time he came back, okay, there was still a chance to use him. It didn't work, because then he would get injured. He joined the Nation. He got injured again. And now he's against the Nation. He's also about 30 to 40 pounds heavier. Not as big as he would be in WCW, just, oh God, what the hell. He was in WCW in early 2000, he was at least 70 pounds heavier. We all gain weight, we all fluctuate and everything, but good grief, he was out of shape. So that being said, that's your team right there. So, Ahmed was washed by this point, nearly dropped D'Lo, nearly fell down doing the Pearl River Plunge. LOD was super over. Hawk got eliminated quickly, I think within 3 minutes. And then, basically, there was feedback over the PA. Maybe Kevin Kelly farted into the mic. Shamrock ends up tapping out D'Lo. And then the New Age Outlaws come out after stealing the shoulder spikes and basically say, you know, they distract Animal and everything because they're going to take the tag titles from him pretty goddamn soon because the LOD were the tag team champions. And Animal gets counted out. And after getting powder in the eye. And after tossing the ref down, that is. But after tapping out D'Lo, a chair to Shamrock's back. It seems like Rock's going to get the victory. But then eventually he falls to the ankle lock and boom, 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 boom. There you are. Now, we go to an Austin and Owen package. Austin vowing revenge for being dropped on his neck and everything. All that stuff. Austin makes his entrance. The glass only half breaks. Good job there, technical crew. And Owen comes out with Team Canada. Big reaction. Slammies, Intercontinental title, Owen 316. I just broke Austin's neck, or I just broke your neck. I should see if those shirts are still in WWE shop. Neidhart tried to interfere, got laid out with a stunner. It was a quick brawl because Austin still was coming back from his neck issues that would necessitate him being gone for neck surgery by the time this event came around 2 years later. He eventually did hit a stunner for 3, then laid out Team Canada as well. So, yeah, that's a way to take away the heat, I guess. And then Shawn makes his entrance. Drink thrown on him, cheers, all kinds of stuff. And then Brett gets a thunderous pop, comes out, all kinds of excitement. I could litigate all this stuff all damn day. I don't blame Brett for not wanting to put Shawn over because Shawn was a prick. Should Brett have dropped the title? Sure. Should Vince have maybe had Brett drop the title to somebody else? Sure. To go over everything with Montreal would be fucking ridiculous. The bottom goddamn line is, Brett was right. I am absolutely on Brett's goddamn side. Because Shawn was gone after a back injury just a few months later. Now, nobody knew that he would need back surgery for the career-ending back injury. But that being said, the match was just a brawl. They brawled to begin with. They brawled in the ring. They brawled around the crowd. They just kept brawling and brawling and brawling. It was tough. It was good stuff. But the thing is all anybody's going to remember is the finish. Brett had to tell Shawn to put the sharpshooter on differently. He did. Ring the bell. Brett's upset. Basically, spits on Vince. Shatters the monitors. WCW. And there we go. We're off to the goddamn races. I have talked about that so goddamn much that there's no point in me going over every single thing with, all those details because it's been done to death. But I'll just say I wish that the match had been able to play out properly because it was a hell of a goddamn piece of business. It was great shit. They were brawling. They were massively just laying the shit into each other safely. Don't get me wrong. Brett's always been a safe worker, and Sean was safe when he wasn't pilled up. But it's one of the most historic matches in wrestling history. It's one of the most historic events in wrestling history, and it turned the tide for WWF without some fans realizing it. That being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.